welcome back for another Study Tip Tuesday. I am so sorry I didn't have a video last Tuesday. It's been kind of crazy. Last weekend was my bachelorette party. If you're new to my channel, I am engaged. I'm getting married in November, so we have like a month and a half, so it's been really hectic. But anyway, so I had my bachelorette party last weekend, so that kept me kind of busy, and then we had a stomach bug going around, so I've been like sanitizing my house and everything, so I just didn't have time to film a video. But I am back today. So today's Study Tip Tuesday is going to be all about using tests to your advantage when studying. It's so important when you're studying to practice the scenario of being in a test and answering questions about your content. When I was teaching, I used to do this all the time. I would give my students practice tests or have them create questions, and I've kept this going as I've been a student, and it's just one of the best ways to study. So I'm going to show you some different ways that you can use tests to your advantage when studying. You probably already do this to some extent, but hopefully this will give you a couple more ways to do it, so you have a variety of ways that you're studying in your study toolkit. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. First place I recommend that you go to is Google, of course. Type in the name of the topic that you're studying and practice test, and a bunch of tests will come up. And just kind of look through, see what websites look good, and just try one. The downside of this method is they're not specific for your school or the professor that you have, so you don't know if they're really covering the questions that you need answered. But it's a really great starting point to just kind of see what you do know, what you don't know, and it's free and they're available all over the place. Next thing I recommend you do is go straight to Quizlet. So what I did was I went to Quizlet and I typed in the name of my class and the topic, and there's a ton of practice tests that were made by students who go to my school in previous years who've already made Quizlets. And then I click the test function instead of doing the flashcards, and you can see it makes all kinds of different types of questions for you. So fill in the blank, multiple choice, true and false. And so you can really test your school-specific knowledge. And then when you submit it, it gives you the answers, of course, so you can check yourself and make sure that you are on the right track. And this is really great because it is specific to your school and your professor. Now, this paper should look familiar to you if you watched my How to Take Notes in Class video about Cornell Notes. So what I'm doing on here is just writing out questions. I'm making my own test questions, and I think this is way better than the previous two options because you're really looking at your material, thinking about what you need to learn, and you're creating your own test questions in that way. And it kind of puts you in the seat of your professor. Kind of think about what types of things does my professor think is important for me to learn? What should I be really understanding? And you can kind of sit with your notes and just go through and create your own questions. And then after you've made your own questions, you can go through and either just answer them, you can make yourself a study guide, and this kind of really helps you see what you know, what you don't know. Your strengths and weaknesses are really pointed out when you do this, because when you do the ones that are online, they're great, but you're not really identifying your strengths and weaknesses that much. And if somebody didn't put a question on there that you think is important, or that is important in your notes, but the person who made them just didn't feel like typing it out or something, you're not mastering that material. So you really want to make your own test, make your own study guide, and then answer it either on paper, or you can have somebody test you out loud. You can meet up with a group of classmates and maybe all of you make your own questions and go around in a circle and ask each other questions. But make sure when you're making these questions that you're not making easy, like one-word answer questions. I mean, of course you can have those lower level, simple recall questions, but try to make some compare and contrast questions, or some explain questions, or some, select all that apply type question. Because on your exam, your professor is not going to have simple recall questions. So challenge yourself. Try to think outside the box of the student and put yourself in the mind of the professor and make some difficult questions for you to answer that might take some time, but are really going to get you thinking about that material. I do this all the time. I think this is the best way to study for your classes. Okay guys, those are all the ways that I recommend that you use tests when studying for an exam. I think it is so important to really simulate a testing environment when you're studying, so that once you get to your test, you're not like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to answer these questions, right? If you study using questions and using tests and making your own questions, then when you get in that testing environment, it's not going to be such a shock to you. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm sure you're already using some of these techniques, like I said before, but hopefully you can just add some of this to your arsenal of how you study, and so you have some more tips and tricks under your belt, so that if you're really struggling for a certain class, you have more ways to study than just what you've been using before. As always, if you have any questions for me, or if you have any suggestions for how to use this technique in other classes, please comment below. Message me on social media, email me if you have any questions for me specifically. If you like Study Tip Tuesday, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already, so you can see more Study Tip Tuesday, more pharmacy school advice videos and vlogs, and I will see you in my next video.